The place, ancient Greece. The time, roughly 425 BCE. Aristophanes, an acclaimed playwright, invents a new genre, what is widely called comedy. While more than a few of his works have been lost, 11 of his 40 plays have come down to us virtually complete, along with 1,000 or so fragments of his other works. And they are the only real examples we have of a genre we now refer to as old comedy. As the centuries went on, the genre was, of course, altered and evolved. The world was introduced to Plautus and his Roman comedy, Commedia dell'arte, Elizabethan restoration, and the theater of the absurd. The list is growing even now, but the original theme still remains intact: to get victory over unpleasant circumstances and result in a happy conclusion. As artists, it is our pride and joy to provide that, to be funny and to entertain audiences. All of this, of course, begs the question, what is in a laugh? This is Heart to Hartigan. Thank you, John Hartigan. Hello and welcome to Hartigan. I am your host, the aforementioned John Hartigan. This is a new series produced by the Life Mosaic, and we will attempt to hone in on all aspects of the performing arts through this program. Today's episode will focus on the subject of comedy. Today, I'm joined by a trifecta of top regional talent who have each made their mark in the industry by supplying some of the theater's most standout comedic performances. We will touch on a variety of topics within the world of comedy, delve a little deeper into getting to know these performers, as well as the roles that they have essayed. We begin with our first segment of three, a roundtable discussion. Seated on today's panel, we have the ever-talented Moriel Behar and the wonderfully performative Lior Shaham. How are we today, panel?
Hello, good. Good to see
we
you.
are great.
Are we excited to get a conversation about comedy together?
So excited.
So excited. Lior, you were stunned by the mere question, which I know is going to go over great in an entire segment based on me questioning you. So we're going to move right along. I appreciate you guys being here with us. You're wonderful, wonderful people. And let's have a scholastic conversation about something as simple as comedy, right? Let's start off real vague and throw just like a wild question that has any sort of answer. But what is or how would you define comedy?
I think for me, I feel like comedy is rather than just anything being funny, it's something intentionally funny. Like there is purpose to what you're doing in order for it to get a laugh or a chuckle or whatever you're going for, versus something that could be funny not on purpose, like which also can be funny, but I feel like
there's a lot of improv. A lot of improv where it's just their hearts just stopped in their seat.
Yeah. I would like to say that I also feel like comedy is, yes, improv, a whole section of comedy right there. But as well as, let's say, you do something that you didn't think was funny, or you trip on stage or something. I think how you recover from it is also can be comedic, can be part of that group of comedy. It kind of lines up with improv.
Sure.
I know it's all staged, but take the play that goes wrong. I know it's all staged and everything is done with a purpose, but it's that type of comedy I'm talking about, of recovering from mistakes and such.
I think probably a lot of comedy comes from stems from some level of calamity. It's impossible to not laugh at that video of the kid slipping on his way to school or something. Like there's just something like basic about certain aspects of what actually is funny. It's not all pain though, right? But that kind of like that idea, and I'm just going to lead right into it. This idea of like pain and kind of like sorrow, it has like a really deep rooted like affiliation with comedy. I'm sure we're all familiar with like the old adage of comedy is tragedy plus time.
Mhm.
But obviously, that adage is however many tens or hundreds of years old. If we had to right now make a new equation for comedy, would we change comedy equals tragedy plus time? Would we add anything to that? Would we subtract or substitute? What would be either your or maybe the new comedic formula?
Just given these past 2 years, I would just subtract time.
It's just straight up tragedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to be said about that, because personally, if I'm having like a super dark moment in my life, sometimes it like circles back around to the comedy side. And then I'm, like crying is just like one step to laughter. So I'm not sure about time. Like I understand that, but I don't think it needs to be I don't think it needs to anything really different. It's just wherever the tragedy is pushed to, I guess, the intensity level.
So what would we maybe replace time with then? Would it be like tragedy plus situation? Would it be tragedy plus
I
int-
think
would
I
it
think Oh, sorry, I keep
No,
interrupting.
no, go for it. I'm just throwing things
Your
out.
voice is so irritating, man. I just I think if we're creating a new formula for comedy, I would replace time with context. Context of the situation, context of the joke, and I think that it's I'm not necessarily adding it out of the blue. I think it's been in the formula of comedy because there's a reason why certain jokes landed let's say 100 years ago, and a reason why they don't land today. And there's a reason, and there's also other reasons why jokes in Pirates of Penzance, well over 100-year-old musical, still land today. It's about the context.
What do you think, Mo? You agree, disagree?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great way to put it, because the most tragic moments, if they are in the right context, can be hilarious. Like, I mean, a funeral can be funny if it's like very inappropriately timed in a play, or something like that,
Right.
like in the middle of a wedding or whatever it is. So yeah, I think that's great. That's just a stroke of genius there, Lior.
I think that's a powerhouse substitution, Lior. You came in swinging for the fences.
Everyone will hear about this now. This
I know.
will go down in history.
Reverberate through the halls of time. Strike time from the record.
That's patented, so all royalties go to me.
All right.
Jeez, guy, we just got started. We're already getting litigious. So, do you have to connect personally with the comedic beats of a script in order to perform it?
Me personally, no. No. I mean, I feel like I have to understand why it's funny.
Mhm.
But I don't necessarily need to feel like I've experienced the situation or, anything like that. I mean, but I do think it's important to justify the comedy in the beats, but I don't feel the need to sort of put my full Moriel self in them.
Yeah, I would say sort of the same for me. I do tend to perform the certain comedic bits better if I connect with them, sure, but I feel like it's more of the comedic style of the beat rather than the beat itself. Of, is it wordplay? Is it physical comedy? Is it timing comedy? And I think it's that aspect that I really need to connect to in order for me to perform. I mean, obviously understanding the joke, yes, but in order for me to perform it effectively, I would need to connect with the type of comedy the beat is.
So then, would you need to find the material funny in its own right in order to effectively put that across on stage?
Mostly, yes, not always. It's a mixed bag. I can't say yes or no for sure. It depends on the material. Um, yeah,
It's a weird question, I know, but um,
I mean, it's a good question. I just don't have a solid answer for it because I feel
I
like
guess if we answered this question here, it would probably like it would be like something that would be useful like in the world at large. Trying to actually make something funny that you even don't think is funny is a big challenge, I think, with a lot of performance, especially in comedy. And even the reverse sometimes happens where you find something hilarious and it just for some reason goes over like a lead balloon. So I feel like there's kind of that duality in comedy sometimes where like you can try and look at comedy mathematically and like understand the beats and understand where it should be funny, but sometimes if you don't have that personal connection, it's always going to miss that X factor, I think, at least in my personal experience.
yeah. To build off what you said, um,
Yeah, same.
I swear I'm
Beautiful.
speaking.
No, it's poignant. Let's just leave
I
it
have a
there.
single tear in my eye, actually.
It got very maudlin up in here, man.
I'm gonna write a book about this. Yeah, I'm gonna sell it with all my information. Anyway, to build off of your point, um, stop it, stop. You're throwing me off my groove. What was your point again? Sorry. Could you re-summarize what you said?
I think the the situation that we missed it. It floated by. It's all right. It's a tough question.
Oh, I remember now.
We're going back.
So what you said about mathematics and stuff.
Oh,
When
sure.
I said, perform something effectively, it's kind of what I meant of, there's just a feel to it. You can, if you look at jokes mathematically, I find that you might not play them flat, but I feel like the jokes are not gonna be there. It's gonna be flat. That's what I wanted to say.
I'm glad we circled back. Mo's just gonna let that one go. I appreciate and agree. I emphatically agree with that sentiment, Lior, and I appreciate it. Okay, good. Mo, we're good.
I have stuff to say. I just didn't know if we were still going.
Go ahead. Go for it. We'll either cut around or we'll put out an extended cut. We'll put out the
director's cut.
Yeah. Hashtag release the Hartigan cut.
Well, I was going to say, I actually really like doing stuff mathematically. And that doesn't mean that all spontaneity is like completely taken out of everything I do, because I do feel like I'm like a do it every day differently type of actor. But to me, I feel connected to technique, and I feel connected to writing everything out in terms of like intention and goal and all of this stuff, which doesn't necessarily mean I say to myself, and here's where I will be funny. But as long as I am like, as long as I am very intentional about every single thing that happens, if it is comedy, then I hope that it translates that way. So I kind of operate differently. I feel like I like to write things down, and like every single moment is fully fleshed out, which then once I have done that work, it leaves room for me to do some other random stuff, as you both know that I do on a daily basis. But But I like for that like the mathematical part of it to be there, as a starting point.
Yeah, what you're saying is you're not a complete and utter agent of chaos like myself. You do the homework. I appreciate that.
We're talking about in acting, not in my life, right?
I think acting too, although I think I'm probably more an agent of chaos regardless, no matter how you slice it. But honestly though, you bring that up. It's interesting that you speak about your process like that, because it is almost, it's very different from the Moriel that I know. There's not a lot of math going on outside of stage, as it turns out. Well, I think that about does it for this segment. Lior, Moriel, thank you so much for the conversation. I know it kind of went all over the place, took some turns, but honestly, that's kind of what comedy is too, right? Taking some wild turns and just making it up as you go every once in a while, if you don't have time to do your math. But I want to again just thank you, and looking very forward to seeing your one-on-one interviews with the illustrious John Hartigan. Are you guys excited to speak to that guy?
Who? Sorry, who?
My manager didn't tell me about any one-on-one interview.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to get up my paycheck for that.
Yeah.
What is
not gonna cut it if I'm doing
what is 2 times 0 again? I'll have
$1 million.
But and thank you so much. Namaste sorbet, and we'll catch you all later in segment B, the one-on-one interviews. Over to you, John Hartigan. In this, our second segment of Heart to Hartigan, our ace reporter, John Hartigan, will be interviewing our panelists one-on-one for an in-depth conversation with them about their previous theatrical exploits, experiences performing, and opinions on comedy and exactly what is in a laugh. Take it away, John Hartigan. All right. Thank you, John Hartigan. I am John Hartigan, and let's get this segment underway immediately with our first guest in the segment. So please, without further ado, please welcome the wonderfully talented Moriel Behar.
Hi, is this John Hartigan?
This is John Hartigan. Welcome to Heart to Hartigan with John Hartigan, and I am indeed John Hartigan. How are you? You doing well?
I'm good as we can. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you for coming out here tonight and spending some time with me and John Hartigan and the John Hartigan you'll meet at the end of the show. So where do you draw from for your comedic inspiration?
The first person that comes to mind, even if we're talking about people, but the first person that comes to mind is Lucille Ball. I always loved her growing up. And I sort of have been compared to her, not in talent, let's relax everyone, but just in terms of my weird facial expressions and my willingness to contort my faces into all sort of different kinds of categories. So I just, I love her, and I think I have sort of not like modeled my career based on hers because we do very different things, but she's just a large inspiration. So yeah.
You've done a number of comedic performances, and I've been, honored to see some of them and to share the stage with you as well. Of all of these different roles that you've performed, which do you think you connect to the most?
Well, okay. I mean, I would say this is kind of an obvious answer, but when I played Fiona in Shrek the Musical, I would say,
by the way.
Thank you. I would say that was the one I connect to the most. I mean, she's weird and monstrous and quirky and also a princess at the same time. And that's sort of how I like to live my daily life.
As a princess specifically?
I can be a princess about a lot of different things, but I'm more so like she has kind of all of these rules that she envisions her life to be set in a certain way and a certain like fairy tale. But she's also a huge personality that doesn't fit into any of those boxes. So that's kind of why I relate to her in that capacity.
Sometimes being funny isn't just right at the ready. Sometimes you really have to work at it. So, have you ever had any instances where you didn't initially connect with a joke and really had to excavate the funny?
Most recently, I would say this, just a month ago, I was doing You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown in New Hampshire,
Mhm.
and I was playing Lucy Van Pelt. And she has this moment where she plays an April Fool's joke on Charlie Brown. And the line when he falls for it is April Fool, and then turn to the audience, just like shooting fish in a barrel, which is sort of, like a colloquialism, and like, is definitely could be sort of played in different ways. And I knew that like the kids in the audience wouldn't understand what the phrase meant.
Right.
And I genuinely tried this a different time every single night that I was doing that show. I tried it as, I got him, just like a fish in a barrel. And I tried it as like, oh, come on, like you're not even fun to joke around with. Like, oh, what, so there was a bunch of different, I really had to put all of my energy into that joke because it wasn't something that automatically, came to me as the punchline isn't something that I would have naturally said. So I felt like, every night I had to like really just do something in order to make it happen.
I want to lead right into our next question, because I think it's very much kind of the other side of this kind of thing, where you're working at this bit and trying to get it to be funny. And ultimately, I think typically as performers, we eventually will get there. But the antithesis to that, right? Was there ever a comedic bit or a joke or something that you experienced or honed in on in a rehearsal that you thought was a real knee slapper, but the minute you got that on stage, just fell flat?
Yeah, so same performance.
Look at that.
There's you got some ups and you got some downs, but yeah, same performance. I was singing the song Schroeder to the young man who was playing Schroeder about my love for him, essentially, and comparing, saying that we should get married and all of these things. And he was paying no attention to me whatsoever. So in the rehearsal process, I sort of like leaned in for a kiss at the end of the song, and he got up and walked away, and I fell onto the ground. And it was one of those things where the entire cast and the creative team thought it was hilarious. And every single time it happened on stage, just kind of didn't work. And, if we had had a longer run, it could have, I could have made some adjustments, or if there had been a different rehearsal process in the middle of the run, or, something like that, then we could have found a way to save it. But, then it got to a point where every night I was doing it and I knew it wouldn't really work, but I was doing it strong and wrong every single time.
I love that. Strong and wrong. I love it. You gotta make strong decisions, whether they're going to work or they're not. And I think the added salt to the wound there is that it's a physical bit. So not only are you saying something, or in this case, maybe not saying something, but in trying to do something, and then you have to pick yourself up and dust yourself off and be like, well, that wasn't funny. It's just the exit stage left, right?
Oh, there's so many times where, it's just like a punchline, and then you say to yourself that exact line, well, that didn't work. And then confidently walk off the stage like you were just hilarious.
Sometimes you got to do it, right? What's the adage, right? Fake it till you make it.
Exactly.
Sometimes you may not make it, it turns out.
Not at all.
So as I hit earlier, you've proven to be quite a versatile actor from roles like Lucy the Slut to Lucy the 8-year-old, whom we were just talking about. Ultimately, though, what draws you to a role? Like, what is that thing that gets you jazzed about specific kinds of roles?
I think really someone who characters that I love are people who really don't get bossed around easily and kind of are in control of the situation. And that's likely to do with my personal life, but it's also to do with my just my belief system. Like I love the people who just will not be walked over, and just have a goal in their life and will kind of do whatever it takes to accomplish said goal and not let people get in their way. And I don't mean that in an evil way, because I do play my fair share of evil-esque characters. Sometimes it's in an oblivious way. Like when I did the second time I did Seussical, when I did Maisie in Seussical, the thing I love about Maisie is that all of those things, she's strong-minded. She, doesn't let anyone walk all over her. She gets what she wants. And she's kind of mean, but she thinks that she is doing everything for the right reasons. Like she has such a big heart. She thinks she's giving Gertrude all of this amazing advice. Girl, I got you. Your tail sucks. So here's what you can do about it. And she doesn't know that she's being disrespectful, or anything like that. She's kind of just really going for it. Sure. So that's sort of what, like, I love that in a character, someone who, just gets what they want and does what they want, no matter what, regardless of the consequences.
Hey, I think that fully fits some of the roles that I know you for. So that's fantastic. We have one last question that I'd like to pose. And as I understand it, you have a very special skill featured on your resume, and that is isolated eyebrow dancing. What about that?
My gosh, I did not know that was still on my resume. What old copy do you have, John Hartigan?
The one that's on your website. I am a journalist. I looked you up.
I need the other John Hartigan. Okay, get him in here.
No, I can't. He's busy right now.
Okay, here is isolated eyebrow dancing. Ready?
That's a serious control. I got a little bit of that going on.
Yeah, no, you do. You do
I can
it
do
well,
one
but
really fast.
you do it well. But here's that: you have to not squint to do it. Like you can't show any sort of muscle control. You just have to. Okay, let's see it. Oh, it's pretty good. It's pretty. See, this is something that you could put on your special skills section of your.
I guess I could, right?
Well.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe even your professional resume, like your teaching resume.
You know what? It might help in the classroom.
You never know.
Well, with that, Moriel, I want to thank you for spending the time with me and sharing your thoughts and your feelings in this crazy life that we sometimes find ourselves in as performers, and specifically as comedic performers. And thank you so much. And we'll throw it back to you eventually when we see your amazing performance in whatever you do. All righty. So thank you so much again.
Thank you.
All righty. Bye-bye. All right, so now we're going to be joined by our second wonderful performer and amazing talent. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce her. Please welcome Sean Berman.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Sean. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm so happy to have you here. It's always a treat. I miss performing with you, but
me too.
The opportunity to talk with you. With that, let's start getting right into the topic at hand, which is comedy, which is performing in the world. And the first topic of conversation is a little big, but we want to start big and kind of bring it down to the micro level. So the first question really is, where do you draw from for your comedic inspiration?
when I was with the ballet company,
Mhm.
I always played like dramatic roles. I always go, I was either a bitch or a whore. Right? So I said, if I ever do a cabaret show, I'm going to call it Bitches and Whores. Yeah.
I would be in attendance. Bells on.
So I think I'm naturally have that big personality, and I love those dramatic roles, because I remember like once when we were doing Sleeping Beauty, right? So, and I was always I did many roles in that, but I was, I was Caraboss. I was like the mean, evil fairy, and I loved it. It was so great, but I really wanted to do Aurora, and then I finally got the chance to do it. And I did it, and I was like, well, that was bloody boring. Like, it's just so much more fun to like either be funny or dramatic or, and so inspiration, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I guess what comes to mind is like something like Lucille Ball, how she was just so over the top, like in every, I don't know. It's just like not being scared to like be your full personality,
I love it. That's a great point of inspiration. I mean, Lucille Ball was a trailblazer of comedic epicness. So,
right. But
and you're not the only person involved in our little thing here that has brought up Lucille Ball. So,
really,
it's an important person in the comedic world.
That's funny. I mean, it's a good question, because I never really have thought about that at all.
Sure.
But if that sprung to my mind straight away, because there's that great scene, when you come from the ballet world, that scene with her where she's in the ballet studio and she's trying to do the splits or something, and there's the teacher there with the stick, and just the way that she, like, that scene is just so funny to me in particular,
Sure.
So I guess that's just why she jumped to mind so much. But, I don't know.
Excellent. Okay, so Sean, of all the roles that you've played, and you can throw ballet in there, of course, as well, but which one of your roles have you connected with the most, and why?
Well, I've got to say, actually, that, I mean, leaving aside all of the ballet, and I love the ballet, but it's not quite as expressive as doing musical theatre, right? Because
just in a different way, right?
Yeah, it's just different because you get to use everything. You're talking, you're singing, you're acting, you're dancing sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have to say that I loved the two musicals that I did with Little Radicals. The one with you,
Matilda,
where I played Mrs. Wormwood. I mean, oh my God, like what a joy to perform that. I mean, because she's so over the top. Like there was just no place I couldn't go.
Exactly.
So that's like a real gift. And then Tanya in Mamma Mia. Mm-hmm. I loved that role too. I mean, I was just so blessed to be able to just even perform those two roles. I loved them both so much.
Sometimes it's hard to bring it down to just one. And those are two great roles to have been able to sink your teeth into.
Really, really. And I mean, there's so many great ballet, even comedic roles, but those two, oh my gosh. Oh, I'll never forget them. I'll never forget being able to do those,
Yeah. I certainly won't forget either, Sean. So what do you look for in a comedy as either a spectator or as a performer or both? Like what is it that kind of revs your comedic engine?
I went to see Jim Jeffries at the Beacon.
Another
Aussie who is just, I mean, I just laughed the entire time. And, he's pretty crass, on some levels, which I really enjoy.
Who doesn't?
And
I certainly
do. But then isn't it wonderful when they can tell like a really great story that connects with you somehow, emotionally, and then at the end can really make you laugh. The other comedian that I love who does that is Hannah Gadsby. I don't know.
I'm not familiar.
She's a New Zealand comedian.
Oh, okay.
She has 2 specials out on Netflix.
Oh, nice.
And very, very funny, but very like tells you all about her life and, you know, really makes you think, but then gives you a really great laugh at the same time.
As someone who has a notable career as a dancer, you understand the importance of physicality and body awareness, skills that are, in most circles, understood to be very important skills for a comedic performer as well. As we spoke about, you were in a recent production of Matilda and you played Miss Wormwood, and you had to really meld the physicality of dance along with comedy. So, how was your experience in doing that? And did your background in dance help you through that process?
Yeah, I just think it's probably having had the experience of being on stage for so many years and, you know, using my body like, you know, I mean, and also I did when I quit the ballet, I did do musical theatre in Australia. So I
Mhm.
did, you know, I do have experience in that, but um it is like what they call, you know, being a triple threat,
Right.
you know, like being able to sing, dance, and act.
Mhm.
It really will stand you in good stead. Um, and I just, yeah, for me, I just think and it's innate in me, you know. I love being on stage, and I love it. You know, it's like my home.
Yeah, it's energizing. It's almost like brings you back to center. It helps you reset and scratch all those itches, right? I mean,
And you get to be like a person that maybe you wouldn't be in real life. I don't know. I'm pretty well like that, but
yeah,
you know,
that's
it's
true.
like you could be like that to the extreme, you know,
Uh,
and just have so much fun. And it's about having fun with it, right?
yeah, exactly. Sean, I do want to thank you for spending the time with us here at Heart to Hartigan. Me and John Hartigan and John Hartigan and John Hartigan, we all would like to thank you very much for sharing your insights. And yeah, I just wanted to thank you. And I look forward to seeing your performance in our final segment. I hope I know you're going to wow us with it, whatever it is that you've chosen for us.
Well, we'll see.
We shall see. All right. So thank you again, Sean. Be well.
Thank
Talk to you soon.
you. It was so nice talking to you.
It was a pleasure. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was so fun. I could have talked to you forever.
Alrighty, welcome back. We're here with our final interview. Without further ado, let's get right into it real quick. So let me introduce the wonderfully talented Lior Shaham.
You're too kind.
Lior, what's going on, buddy? How's everything?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right, doing all right. Living in a virtual space within this box has been tremendous over the past 2 years. But, well, I'm glad to hear that you're doing well as well. Right out of the gate, where do you draw from for your comic inspiration in your performances?
I grew up watching Marx Brothers, Monty Python, and Mel Brooks, so a lot of their styles, and even researching, you know, Marx Brothers influenced Mel Brooks and Monty Python. Those are what I draw from, and you know, always good to fall back on just watching the movies. So I draw my inspiration for those type of people, and I feel like it's shaped um, my comedy on stage as well.
So what draws you to those kind of like old school, almost Borscht Belty style comedians? Why is it that that's where you draw from? I love it, and I draw a lot from there as well. What is it that draws you to those that style of comedy?
Well, I mean, with Mel Brooks, you'd never be able to get away with what he did now, um, because he managed to push limits, but in a funny and in a good way. And he laughed at taboo subjects at the time, and it's a mix of, you know, comedy and social change. Marx Brothers, you got the different brothers. You got, Harpo Marx, which is, all physical comedy. All about timing, not just, pie in the face type of comedy.
Sure.
And then you got Monty Python, which are more, I would say, can sometimes be an absurd comedy, which also falls in line with some of Mel Brooks' stuff. And you also have, I see Monty Python as a lot more wordplay.
Yeah, it's a much more kind of like written out style of
Yes.
The comedy is almost as much in the writing as it is in the performance.
Yes.
All right. So, of all of the roles that you've performed, and you've done a whole bunch of very, very different characters, which one would you say you connect most to, and why?
I mean, it's going to sound really basic, but, Shrek has long been a role that I've always loved playing. I feel like I will always connect to Shrek. Yeah, I guess I have to go with Shrek.
What is it about Shrek? You almost sounded like him just there. What is it? What is it about Shrek that gives you that feeling, that sense of connection?
Well, like onions, Shrek has layers.
Shrek has layers.
I feel like with Shrek, I'm able to bring the duality of comedy, but also of the hurt, because a lot of, comedians, let's face it, have been hurt in their life or something, and they use that pain to make comedy with it. And so with Shrek, it's very clear. I feel like it's very clear of how he's using his pain, even though he's, nothing bothers me anymore. But you can see his pain turn into, the comedic jokes that he makes in the show. And I also feel like it's important to convey that, because to get more people aware of, everyone's mental health, and because that's very important as of now with COVID and everyone being cooped up, I feel like it can help audiences identify that funny people can use some help sometimes.
All right, so Lior, you have played some really big personalities on stage, from the money and old lady hungry Max Bialystock from the producers, to the regimented and reserved Mr. Phelps from Small Actors, Shameless Plug. How do you deal with roles that have a completely different perspective than your own, especially when taking into consideration the relative age gap between yourself and these roles?
I think the age gap, it really helped me being a part of LRT and being surrounded by beautifully talented and very smart actors. I think that helped me understand maturity at some level in terms of my acting. In terms of, polar opposites, when looking at a character, this goes back to how I build a character is, why are they feeling like this? I try to, it's all about perspective. Being an actor is all about perspective. And you have to find the perspective, even though you might not agree with it, you have to find a way to understand it, so that you don't just play, one role all the time, and you can go into these dual like vastly different perspectives on the role or life or whatever. So that's how I try to find the differences between all my characters, is how are they perceived and how am I perceiving them.
Excellent. So was there ever a comedic bit that you were particularly proud of in rehearsal but ultimately fell flat in performance?
I don't remember what show it was, but I think I remember I had to fall. This was during my middle school years. I had to pratfall.
Well, my more formidable years.
When I was a child.
Yes.
Back when I was young. I had to pratfall. I want to say it was a school show or whatever. Doesn't matter. I had to pratfall. Now, the thing with me and falling on stage is I make it look really real. Sometimes I just fall and just take it, Sometimes
Sure.
it is real.
Yeah.
I just roll with it, I'm committed,
Right.
But I remember, I think it was because I was just so young and, parents are a thing and, they're concerned for child's well-being or something. I don't know.
Sure. I mean, yeah. The biological.
Oh, no. My mother knew.
Oh, was it your mother?
Oh, no. I fell. It was for comedic timing. And I remember hearing just a gasp. I'm like, no, you're not supposed to gasp. This is a ha-ha moment. I'm fine. Laugh. So I have to say that one I do remember.
All right, there you go. Yeah, nothing like putting it all in on a pratfall.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Lior, thank you so much for spending time with us here at the illustrious Heart to Hartigan. And very interesting perspectives, and I can't wait to see you actually washed up 50 or 60 years from now.
I don't think it's gonna take that long.
But it's been a pleasure, Lior. Thank you for stopping by, and I can't wait to see what you've got in store for us in our final segment with your performance.
Thank you.
All righty, take care, bud.
You too.
And now for our final segment, the performance. Each of our panelists have graciously submitted to us here at Heart to Hartigan a selection of theatrical endeavors in line with today's theme of comedy. First, we have the ever-talented Moriel Behar with a fiery rendition of the song I Hate Men from the musical Kiss Me Kate. Next for you, Sean Berman with a sultry rendition of Funny Girl by Barbra Streisand from the musical of the same name. And finally, we have Lior Shaham with his jaunty and full-out rendition of King Herod's song from Jesus Christ Superstar. Please enjoy.
Here's Moriel Behar.
Get out! I hate men. I can't abide them even now and then. Then ever marry one of them, I rest a virgin rather. For husbands are a boring lot and only give you bother. Of course, I'm awfully glad that mother had to marry father. But I hate men. Of all the types I've ever met within our democracy, I hate the most the athlete with his manner bold and brassy. He may have hair upon his chest, but sister, so does Lassie. Oh, I hate men. I hate men. Their worth upon this earth I didn't ken. Avoid the traveling salesman, though attempting Tom he may be. From China he will bring you jade and perfume from Arabia. But don't forget, 'tis he who'll have the fun, and ye the baby. Oh, I hate men. If thou shouldst wed a businessman, be wary, oh, be wary. He'll tell you he's detained in town on business necessary. His business is the business which he gives his secretary. Oh, I hate men. I wasn't finished. I funny. Did you hear that? Funny. Yeah, the guy said, honey, you're a funny girl. That's me. I just keep them in stitches, doubled in half, and though I may be all wrong for the guy, I'm good for a laugh. I guess it's not funny. Life is far from sunny when the laugh is over and the joke's on you. Girls gotta have a sense of humor. That's one thing I really need for sure. When you're a funny girl, the fella said, a funny girl. It's funny how it ain't so funny. Funny girl.
Jesus, how I'm overjoyed to meet you face to face. You've been getting quite a name all around the place. Healing cripples, raising from the dead. And now I understand you're God, at least that's what you've said. So, you are the Christ, yes, the great Jesus Christ. Prove to me that you're divine. Change my water into wine, that's all you need to, and I'll know it's all true. Come on, King of the Jews. Jesus, you just won't believe the hit you've made round here. You're all we ever talk about, you're the wonder of the year. Oh, what a pity if it is all a lie. Still, I think that you could rock the cynics if you tried. So you are the Christ, yes, the great Jesus Christ. Prove to me that you're no fool. Walk across my swimming pool. Do that for me, and I'll let you go free. Oh, come on, King of the Jews. What I'd ask is what I'd ask of any superstar. What is it that you have got that gets you where you are? Oh, I'm waiting, yes, I'm a captive fan. I'm dying to be shown that you're not just any man. So you are the Christ, yes, the great Jesus Christ. Feed this household with this bread. You can do it on your head, or is something gone wrong? Jesus, why do you take so long? Come on, King of the Jews. Hey, aren't you scared of me, Christ? Mr. Wonderful Christ. You're a joke, you're not the Lord. You are nothing but a fraud. Take him away, he's got nothing to say. Get out, you King of the, get out, you King of the, get out, King of the, get out, King of the Jews. life.
Well, that was it. Not too bad, huh? But in all seriousness, we here at Heart to Hartigan hope you enjoyed the programming that we have provided for you today. We hope to continue this series in an effort to further probe the process and opinions of local talent and provide an opportunity to talk shop about our craft. If you liked what you saw, please share the word and this video. It will certainly give us here at the Heart to Hartigan Studios the ability and motivation to provide more content just like this. I do also want to take this time to thank Moriel, Sean, and Lior for joining us on this inaugural voyage and for sharing their insights and talent with us all. I'd also like to take this time to thank the Life Mosaic team, especially Dom Ramos and Mike Mira, for their participation, input, and assistance in getting this thing put together from behind the scenes. I also want to give a special shout out to Travis Cummings of Fathead Graphics for helping me edit and polish this video up. Something I would have never been able to do on my own, so thank you, Travis. And above all, I'd like to thank you, the viewer, for taking the time to spend with us here at Heart to Hartigan and our very talented guests. Here's hoping for episode 2. I'm John Hartigan, and this has been Heart to Hartigan. We hope to continue this series in an effort to further probe and process and provide an opportunity to in an effort to provide you I keep picking that up and provide an opportunity on our inaugural for joining us on our inaugural voyage for this share. But I'd also like to think, above all, I said think. What a shit. For their persistence. Here's hoping. We hope to about their previous theatrical John Hartigan will be this is going to be gross. A sultry rendition of Funny Girl by Sparta. So close. Next for you, Sean Berman will... I'm Heart to Hartigan. I almost did it. It was the best take. Here's hoping for episode 2. I'm John Hartigan, and this was Heart to Hartigan.
It's all just one big mess. Please don't be a lobster.